He ends up having to date his two friends at the same time. One night, while hanging out with his friends in his apartment, he gets up to get more beer. He stands near the door for a few moments while casting discreet glances at the girl with black hair scrolling through TikTok on her phone, and she also gives him a sidelong glance. June leaves the room thinking about it, wishing that the girl named Tia had offered to go with him. June excitedly offers to buy some for her and says he'll get the biggest bucket possible so she can gain a few pounds and get rid of unwanted attention from other guys. Tia responds that he might end up failing because nowadays guys like thick thighs, and then flirts with him by asking why he's so possessive if he's not even her boyfriend. This comme des fois babies. June asks himself the same question. It's clear they like each other, but they don't mind staying in this kind of undefined relationship. They hold hands and Tia pushes him against the hallway wall. She starts kissing this Loki guy and how I wish I were in his place. After that, the two start walking to the supermarket as if nothing had happened, and June still can't believe his luck on the first day of his university life. He had no idea what fate had in store for him when he boarded the bus to his newly rented apartment. He received a message from his best friend and high school crush, Jo, who was precisely the reason he chose this university. She wanted to meet him to celebrate his entry into college, and June gladly accepted. Then he immediately ran to the apartment to change clothes, as he couldn't meet his crush smelling like he hadn't showered in 3 weeks. When he arrived at the gate, he found the beautiful Tia standing there, playing with a lighter and minding her own business. And that's how it all began. June thinks she might be waiting for someone and goes inside, but when he returns, Tia is still there. He feels like he has seen her somewhere before, and out of curiosity asks if they have met before. She doesn't respond, so he just leaves, forcing his two neurons to try to remember where he knew her from. Suddenly he recalls that she is the famous singer Tia, whom his best friend from high school literally idolized. He concern asks if she is the idol from the group Dream Suite. She confirms and starts walking towards him like a lunatic, asking what he wants with her. She lights the lighter and goes straight towards June, who apparently has no survival instinct and doesn't even back away. Tia laughs at him and makes a threat saying she can call the police because of this. She challenges him to call the police, as she can always play the woman card and claim that he is a stalker who was bothering her. June knows what could happen to him if he were accused, even if it were a false case, so he apologizes and explains that his friend is a big fan of hers. He even does an embarrassing dance move from her group, and Tia is completely disgusted. Luckily for June, he receives a message from Jo and uses it as an excuse to escape. Tia tries to stop him, but he's already gone. Soon after, June meets Jo, who is trembling from the cold. They enter a cafe, and June tells her about his scary interaction with Tia, and how he plans to keep his distance from her. With that, they start catching up. Suddenly, June asks Jo if she has a boyfriend, catching her completely by surprise. She asks why he wants to know that, and then he asks if she would like to go to his apartment to watch Netflix and chill. He immediately backtracks on that statement and says that actually he doesn't even have Netflix, so he suggests that they just hang out sometimes since he lives near the university. Jo tells him that he doesn't need to explain, because she would also love to go out with him. After that, they leave the restaurant, and June wraps the scarf around Jo's neck like a true gentleman, since she is very cold. He asks her to return the scarf the next day without washing it, and then they both go their separate ways. When June arrives at his apartment thinking about how fun college will be, he finds Tia still waiting at the gate. He wonders if she's crazy or something to stay there all day, but she simply approaches and asks him never to tell anyone that she lives there, or nearby, or else she will beat him up. After that, she enters the house and June wonders if she lives on the ground floor of the building. Before he can ask the question, Tia loses consciousness and falls to the ground. June panics and immediately calls 911. The next morning, he is awakened by the insistent ringing of the doorbell. He goes to the door wondering who the hell is trying to wake him up so early. When he opens the door, he is shocked to see Tia there. She greets him with a smile and says she got breakfast while coming back from the hospital, asking if he would like to eat with her. June is perplexed by her change in attitude. Which shifted faster than an Olympic gymnast. Even so, he doesn't want to hear any of it. He says he's already had breakfast and shuts the door in her face. Tia asks him to open up and let her in, because she just got out of the hospital. She says she just wants to reward him with something nice, but June doesn't believe her. Later, he goes to college, and as soon as the first class ends, he sends a message to Jo asking if she's free so they can meet again. Jo replies that she is busy with classes and can't find time for him that day. She also apologizes for forgetting his scarf at home. At that moment, a nosy nerd looks at June's phone, because apparently his mother never taught him good manners. The nerd and another friend of John asks if he is talking to his crush and start teasing him, saying that he was probably rejected. Later that day, June returns to his apartment disheartened for not being able to meet Jo. At the gate, he bumps into Tia again, who is acting surprisingly friendly. He doesn't trust her at all, so he ignores her just like he ignores the Wikipedia donation request window, and hurries to enter. The same situation keeps repeating several times, and June ignores Tia every time she tries to talk to him. This, however, doesn't discourage her, and she ends up going to his classroom at college. She draws the attention of the whole class to herself and starts waving at June, who freezes in panic. Tia walks towards him and says he should go with her, since the class is over. Jun panics trying to think of what to do, and to avoid making the situation even more embarrassing. He grabs Tia's hand and runs out of the classroom. When they reach a quieter place, he asks what the hell she wants with him. Tia says she remembers that it was him who took her to the hospital that day. Jun suddenly has an idea and tells Tia that he can't accept her feelings because he already likes someone else. Tia starts laughing at this delusional idiot who thinks every girl who tries to talk to him is interested in him. She explains that she didn't fall in love with him just because he saved her life. Zafi spisem pri segi steus de. Instead, he's not Tia Tabatia's Amambiais. Instead, she just wants to be friends with him since she has no friends. Jun tells her to talk to the girls in her class and mentions that there are probably some of them living in the same building. Tia responds that there's no one there because she rented the entire apartment just for herself. Upon hearing that Tia can pay 3 times the normal rent, he agrees to become her friend. She doesn't seem to mind, even realizing that he's acting a bit opportunistic. Tia then explains that she was suspended because of some wrong actions in the past, but now she's trying to change. She says she wants to make more friends and thinks Jun is the best person to start with, since he lives right above her. Jun decides to accept the proposal and asks for her number, saying they could have dinner together someday. After that, each goes to their apartment and Jun shouts her name out loud. Tia immediately puts her finger on his lips, asking for silence so he doesn't reveal her identity to the other residents. He asks why she did that, and she replies that she was just being playful and mischievous. She comments that it's a good thing he already likes someone else because he definitely seems like the type of guy who becomes clingy when he gets a little attention from a girl. Jun thinks she's very arrogant but understands where all that confidence comes from. He tells Tia to relax because he won't fall in love with her. Suddenly she turns and gets very close to him, asking what if she falls in love with him. Jun is confused and replies that it seems unlikely because he has no charm. Tia then goes on to say she was just teasing him. Later, Jun goes to a welcome party for the freshmen, where a senior asks about Tia. He wants to go out with her if she's single, but Jun remembers her threat to crush his head if he revealed any details about her. He tries to avoid answering the senior's question, but the guy offers him a beer, and soon Jun ends up getting quite drunk. Suddenly he receives a call from Tia, who wants to know when he's coming home. Jun starts flirting with her without realizing it, and suddenly a drunk colleague approaches him and grabs his phone to talk to Tia. Jun tries to get the phone back, and Tia thinks he's fighting with someone. Meanwhile, at the place where Jun is, he tries to help the senior who is vomiting by the roadside. His thoughts begin to wander to Jo, when suddenly he sees someone who looks like her. However, he soon realizes that the alcohol was playing tricks on his mind. The person then approaches him with a bottle of beer and realizes that Jun wasn't fighting with anyone, so there was no need to have brought a weapon with her. Jun is confused about how she managed to find him. Suddenly, the drunk pushes him aside and starts to introduce himself to Tia. She immediately realizes his intentions and tells him not to even think about approaching her again with that ugly face. She tells Jun that they need to leave now, and without even giving him a chance to respond, grabs his hand. Jun feels his heart race, but suddenly the drunk grabs his other hand, asking Tia to at least talk to him a little. She replies that she doesn't need to spend a single second of her time on a loser like him. When the man starts yelling at her, this crazy woman decides to use the weapon she brought. Jun realizes the situation could get ugly quickly, but the veteran is too drunk to back down. He takes off his cap and tells Tia to hit him if she wants, then starts stroking her head. Tia gets furious, but before she can crush that poor idiot's head, Jun intervenes. He tells the guy to take his hands off Tia and snatches the bottle from her hand. Then, she takes a sip and hands the bottle to the veteran, asking him to show his masculinity by drinking it all at once. The man easily falls for the provocation and starts gulping down all the beer. When he finishes, he realizes he was tricked because Jun and Tia have already disappeared. The two run as fast as they can and stop in a quiet alley, where Jun asks what she was thinking before, as she could have been caught red-handed by the police for assaulting a man. She gets upset upon hearing this and starts crying so much that even Jun begins to think she is an unbalanced psychopath, the kind that doesn't hesitate to hit others. She laments that she always ends up getting into trouble when she leaves the house, and even when she tries to break this pattern and live a normal life, things always go wrong. Jun is surprised to hear this and says he always imagined she had some kind of anxiety disorder. She responds that she doesn't want to be alone anymore and wishes to have friends who support her in difficult times. Jun understands that Tia's past must be complicated and says he will be her friend and will try to help her. Tia is happy about that. And she reveals that in fact she had bought the beer to drink with him after the party. He asks how she managed to find him, and Tia shows the banners spread across the campus indicating the freshman parties of different colleges. Jun starts examining them one by one until he suddenly stops upon finding the poster for Jo's college party. He goes in to look for her, with Tia right behind. Shortly after, he finds Jo and calls out to her. She turns, smiles, and waves excitedly. Jun feels hopeful, thinking she will introduce him to her friends, but then realizes that Jo was waving at Tia. Joe recognizes her as the famous idol, and soon everyone around starts wondering if it's true. Tia gets a little nervous as Joe approaches her and says she's a big fan. However, the people around end up recognizing Tia as the idol with a troubled past, who allegedly violently attacked a bandmate over a boy and then fled the country. Tia becomes furious upon hearing the comments and starts to think that Joe did it on purpose. She then decides to leave and begins to walk home. June chooses to stay with Joe instead of going after Tia to console her. Joe asks if she did something wrong, and June replies that everything is fine. Suddenly, the two end up getting very close to each other and become visibly embarrassed. Later, June accompanies Joe out of the party, but they can't find any taxi or bus to take her back to the apartment. She tries calling some friends, but no one answers. Joe becomes desperate, wondering where she could spend the night. She tells June that her parents are very strict and that they wouldn't be happy if she slept away from home. Then June has an idea to help her. Moments later, they are at Anne's door with an offering of beer and snacks, asking her to call Joe's parents and say that she will sleep at her house that night. Ken initially doesn't want to get involved, but as June starts to compliment her and insists, she ends up agreeing and makes the call. Joe thanks her and then says she might go to the college library. Tia responds that she can simply enter the apartment. Once inside, they open the beers, and as soon as the girls get a little drunk, they quickly get over the awkward first meeting and start to become friends. June goes to get some water for them, but when she opens a dusty cabinet, she finds a pack of cigarettes along with Tia's lighter. Meanwhile, Joe is feeling very cold and decides to turn on the heater. Tia can't stand the heat, so she takes off her sweater and goes outside. June notices that she left and goes after her to return the sweater. A quick glimpse of June's abs makes Joe feel a slight shiver through her body. Already outside, June tells Tia to put on the sweater, even when she insists she's fine. She then starts talking about Joe, and June explains that the two have been friends since high school. Tia says she envies such long-lasting friendships because all the friendships she had ended quickly. She starts crying, saying that people always promised to stay by her side, but ended up breaking their promises and abandoning her. June feels the urge to comfort her, so he reaches out his hand for her to hold. Tia immediately holds his hand and starts crying on his shoulder. At first, June didn't want to get so involved with her, but now he feels like getting to know her story better and helping her. The next morning, June wakes up vomiting all the excess alcohol he drank the night before, while trying to push thoughts of Tia out of his mind. She is sitting outside the bathroom, mocking him. When June finally comes out, he asks about Joe. Tia replies that Joe left early in the morning after taking a shower because she didn't want her parents to smell alcohol on her. Then Tia starts looking for her lighter, and June decides to help her. He ends up finding a pack of cigarettes and asks if it also belongs to her. Tia immediately throws the pack into the toilet, and June can't gather the courage to ask more questions. The previous night, he also wanted to ask why she was crying, but he didn't have the courage. He is curious about her past and almost searches for her on the internet when, suddenly, Tia appears next to him. She starts acting cute, and June feels butterflies in his stomach. To get rid of this strange feeling, he quickly goes out to take out the trash. A month passes quickly, and at college, everyone starts teasing June, saying that Tia is his girlfriend since she always comes to visit him. On one of those days, while the same drunk senior from before was teasing June about it, Tia shows up. June is happy to see her, but soon realizes that Joe is also with her and suddenly gets a bad feeling. Joe says they are planning to go see the cherry blossoms and invites June to join them. He agrees, and the three of them go to the garden. Joe immediately starts taking several photos. When June and Joe end up alone for a few moments, things get a bit awkward between them. To break the ice, they start taking some photos too. Tia asks June to take some candid photos of her, and he notices how her personality is completely different from the calm Joe. Joe comments that the cherry blossoms remind her of something. June anxiously asks what it is, and she replies that it reminds her that the midterm exams are coming up. Later, they return to their apartments, and June invites Joe to study with him for the midterm exams. She says it would be better for him to study with his classmates instead of her, and June feels a bit disheartened. Then Tia shows June a beautiful photo of Joe, catching him off guard. She then asks if he likes her. Although he tries to deny it at first, he ends up giving in without much pressure and asks Tia if it's that obvious. Tia responds that it's more obvious than the sun in the sky and that she's sure Joe feels the same way about him.